Welcome to Money Talks, a weekly feature on FM 93.5 The Berg and WMEG AM 740. Today we will talk just a little bit about money, maybe some of the things you can do with it, how it can impact your life, some ideas on financial planning and investing, and getting the most out of the money you hope to have, already have, or want to pass down. So sit back, relax, listen, and maybe take some notes, as you may have some questions by the time we're done with this edition of Money Talks. Hello, Dan Joss. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thank you. So welcome to another edition of Money Talks with Dan Joss. And we're going to talk about any number of different things in each episode. But today, we're going to talk about specific bequests. Now, that's an interesting topic because most of us probably think we know all about that, but maybe we don't. When my grandfather passed away, he made a specific bequest in his will, and he willed me his recliner, which seems like an odd thing for a 12-year-old boy to get. But Granddaddy and I, we sat in that recliner a lot and watched a lot of Gunsmoke and ate little Hershey bars and stuff. And so that chair was a specific bequest to me, and it's in our house, and we enjoy it. And that was something important to him. But in the financial world, there are other specific bequests that might need to be considered. So, with that introduction, Dan Joss, take the ball and run with it.
Well, this is the third in our little estate planning distribution series. We did talk about an inequality of inheritance, then we talked about advances of inheritances, and so now specific bequests is similar but a little bit different. But it is, and we go back to clear communication helps in this process. But sometimes there are arguments after somebody passes away about, Mom said I could have that, no, Dad said I could have that type thing. And so when we do talk distribution of estate, we have to get into some of these issues because dividing everything by, 2 or 4 or 6 or however many it is easy to say, but difficult to do. You don't want to cut the recliner in half and split it with your brother, and you don't want to.
Well, it did come with a footstool.
You don't want to chop the grandfather clock in half and split it. And so specific bequests become important so that expectations can be met as much as possible. And I've heard stories of labels. This is child 1, this is child 2, this is grandchild 3. While they're living and clearly identifying those things, because what you don't specify could become an argument later. Of course,
even those things that you do specify can become an argument.
That's right, and so it is important. So it was like, did your grandfather let everybody know that you'd be getting that chair, or was it a surprise to you and the family that was his bequest?
I think it was a surprise. I remember the reading of the will at the big dining room table. And again, I was 12. And I was shocked and touched by this. I don't know whether other people expected it, but he was deliberate in that he had a specific bequest to each of his grandchildren. There were 3 of us. My other sister got a big white chair, which was the other chair that they sat in. And I don't know what my oldest sister, Galinda, got, but my sister Ann and I, we still have our chairs, and we still enjoy them greatly.
Well, it can be a difficult time.
Yes.
It sounds like it wasn't in your situation, but there are things to consider. Specific bequests can be written in a will, like in your case. However, if the chair wasn't around when the will reading happened, then there could have been some difficulties. And so we encourage clients to just have a letter of instruction or something that says, and that way you can add to the letter, and you could scratch items off when you don't have them anymore, without having to go visit an attorney.
Right.
So, but there are things. It's clocks, it's jewelry, it's hunting rifles, sometimes accounts, and those can change in value over time. A vacation home could be a bequest, but with that comes care and maintenance and other expenses.
Right. And maybe if it's somebody you don't like, you'll give them a timeshare that they'll have to pay the maintenance fees on forever.
Yeah, that's a real issue.
Right.
There was one instance I recall of in Bible times of a specific bequest, and that was to Caleb. Remember, Joshua and Caleb scouted out the Promised Land. 40 years later, he got his piece of land that he had identified, and so there's precedence for this in history, and it is real world issues that we have to deal with today. So the more clear we are, the better we'll be.
Right. And, it's interesting because you're a financial advisor, financial consultant, and these are topics that you would think that you would just talk about with an attorney, but you're really encouraging the listeners to talk to a financial planner about these things because it is part of an estate, and you'll help them get their ducks in a row so that they save some time and energy with the attorney down the road. Am I reading that right?
Yep, that is. And I've helped, recently we spoke about advancing inheritances. And so this is the same kind of thing. It's just that ownership happens after the ownership change after the owner's passed away. And so clear communication is better. Mixed signals doesn't work, but a conversation, if not with me, who will kind of prompt clients to consider these things, but certainly with your spouse and maybe everybody, so that everybody can hear and everyone can have the same recollection.
Right. And figuring out the systems now that are going to be used, whether it's putting a label on each thing now or making a list now, and coming up with a system that everybody can agree on now, because the person who is bequesting it will be perhaps the best person to be the referee and approve the system, as opposed to when they're not around.
Well, definitely, but then there may be a period of time of incapacity, and so while it's not yours, but they don't remember what they said, and all kinds of issues could come up.
Right.
But for most of the people, it's not an issue. But sometimes it's the small sentimental things that have, like you mentioned, those feelings attached with it and memories, and those are ripe for battleground.
Yep. All right. Well, Dan Joss, as always, you have been enlightening on Money Talks today, and we just want to encourage folks to reach out to you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, give me a call, 757-903-2127.
And they can find you online at?
jossfinancial.com.
Excellent. Well, Dan Joss, as always, you've been a light in a dark room, and we appreciate the information. Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.